And I don't think you know how much the public respects and admires you. You're saving American lives every day, and we have your backs. Believe me, we have your backs 100%. Not like the old days. Not like the old days. They have transformed peaceful parks and beautiful, quiet neighborhoods into blood-stained killing fields. They're animals. We cannot tolerate, as a society, the spilling of innocent, young, wonderful, vibrant people. But I have a simple message today for every gang member and criminal alien that are threatening so violently our people. We will find you, we will arrest you, we will jail you, and we will deport you. And when you see these towns, and when you see these thugs being thrown into the back of a paddy wagon, you just see them thrown in, rough. I said, please don't be too nice. Like when you guys put somebody in the car and you're protecting their head, you know, the way you put their hand over. Like, don't hit their head, and they've just killed somebody, don't hit their head. I said, you can take the hand away, okay?
Umbrella. G's up, G's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand. Like quicksand, nigga, you sink.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. Now, we have to address the issue of cooning in the black community. Should we even still be saying the word coon or not? Now, recently, Ray Lewis came back out to not so much criticize Colin Kaepernick, but to tell him to relax on what he's doing, what he's saying. Just chill so you can get a job, stop standing up for black rights and all of that. So, a white owner would be okay with hiring you.
Let me explain something to you guys, all right? I'm going to be very simple with this. While a bunch of people are talking about this man, Cap, let me tell you something, brother. I pray for you more than you've ever can imagine. All right, your name is in my Bible. That God gives you the vision that you did. I applaud you for the things that you stood up for. My brother, everybody else can speak for you, but until you speak for yourself and demand what you want to do in life, it's totally on you. But it's almost crazy that you see people always trying to respond. Let me tell you something, my man. I've made mistakes in my life, but I promise you, if you look at my track record, the mistakes I've made, I've never repeated twice. You understand? And so what I want to tell you is, from man to man, brother, I ain't got nothing against you. I wish you the best in life. I hope you chase whatever God got for you to chase, all right? And once again, I applaud what you stood up for, because I'm in the streets every day. So while people talking about what this and why Ray said this and why Ray said that, Ray ain't saying nothing. And if people really want to help you, if they really want to help you, man, they'll pray for you, brother. All right, they'll lead you the right way and stop encouraging you to be caught up in some of this nonsense. The battles you fighting, brother, people way before us been fighting these for many, many, many years. And that's why I take each and every one of these kids, and that's why I take them away from their environments and give them something else to see in life. And that's why I played the way I played. The football field is our sanctuary. If you do nothing else, young man, get back on the football field and let your play speak for itself. And what you do off the field, don't let too many people know, because they going to judge you anyway, no matter what you do, no matter if it's good or bad, all right?
So a lot of people are disagreeing with Ray Lewis, and I disagree with Ray Lewis. But I do think people are being a little bit too harsh on what Ray Lewis was saying. But, I do disagree with what he's saying about, Colin Kaepernick should fall back saying what he has to say and doing what he has to do. And he's basically just saying, shut up, get your money, don't talk about the issue, just quietly go about your business of doing something. Now, I do agree that, him just saying something and not doing anything really doesn't mean much. Any of us just saying something and not doing something doesn't mean much. But all Colin Kaepernick is doing is standing up for black people, doing community service, and he probably get recognized when he's 70, even though he's hated right now. And we're telling him that he has to fall back doing that, stop making it known, and then maybe the white owners will hire you. But the problem is, when it comes to a situation like that, we as the black community leave room for people to be able to have this kind of criticism because we don't have the people who stand up for us back. That's why a lot of athletes are afraid to speak out because they would lose their millions of dollars. And why you say it's easy just to say, well, you're selling out. They have to think about their children. They have to think about their mom, their dad, and all of that. And if people who stand up for black people have been known to just, fall by the wayside because we don't come to their rescue, we don't come have their back in situations like, again, with the Judge Olu Stevens. We didn't come have his back when he stood up for something that we always talk about. We didn't have his back. That judge in Florida, we can go have her back right now. They took her off of all of these cases because she wouldn't give the death penalty to a black person who killed a cop. Because she don't want death penalties for anyone. Because we see who the death penalty often disproportionately goes against: black men. And especially today when there's so many cases getting overturned because it's found so many holes in the story. So many just blame it on the black man, lock him up, even though he didn't commit the crime. And it's now forensic DNA evidence that we can go test. And now they're getting out of prison. We don't have the back of the people who stand up for us. And we definitely need to start doing that. Not just supporting each other all around the board, but especially the people who will jeopardize their career. Because the irony is, if all of the people who this issue affects decided to do the same thing as Colin Kaepernick and not play because he's being blackballed, and they blackballed the NFL, the whole fucking game would change. It'd be a whole different ball game. If all of the people in the NBA who it affects, if they decided not to play in the NBA, in fact, if they decided to, like, say, put together their money to create their own NBA, they would be then the billionaires. Because people act like Colin Kaepernick is given some sort of like favors or something. Because the owners of these teams make billions of dollars off of these players who make millions. They wouldn't pay them millions if they didn't make billions. If they could get away with it, they would pay them $12 an hour. Like, when Des Bryant said, well, I made it, anybody can make it. Dog, not everybody's fucking 6'5", 200 some pounds and can play in the NFL, dog. Show me something when you're the owner. And then come talk to me about how anybody can do it. And then show me how to do it. If the NFL don't give Kaepernick a job, there's no way we should ever let Kaepernick see poverty. Because the only reason he's not getting a job, and they'll tell you, is because his stance. And all he's standing for is injustice. They act like Kaepernick saying, well, just open up the jail cells and let every criminal out of the jails. No, they're saying the cops who did some fucked up shit should go to jail. But that is a stance that could get you blackballed from the NFL. And the thing about Ray Lewis, now I'll admit he has done some questionable things, and I wouldn't necessarily nominate him for spokesman for the black community or anything. But he has done a lot of good things in the community, more than a lot of us can say. Now, he said that Kaepernick should just be quiet and go about his business like he has, because he's been showing kids quietly throughout America what it's like. You don't have to live in the hood. But I don't think Ray Lewis ever thought of, well, maybe if I had stood up and used my platform as Ray Lewis to do this, and I know I wouldn't have been cut, then I could have reached more kids. I could have saved one more life. I could have touched one more person just by using my platform, by speaking out. And, you know, the thing about coon, we are quick these days to throw around the word coon.
Sir, you're a friend. Why not tell him he's African American?
Listen, man, he's too important to the movement. But tell him he's black, he'd probably kill himself, just to be one less nigger around. His commitment is that deep.
I'm overwhelmed by the irony.
Hey, Jackie boy. Uh-oh. What, you lost, boy? Come on, boy. We don't like your kind around here. You better get out of here before something bad happens.
That's right. That's right. Tell that nigger. See it, you dirty nigger.
Come on, Clayton. We gotta go.
Oh, thanks. There's a nigger around here. That dirty monkey was beating my hood. Fight power. Nigger.
And, you know, do I think they're coons? Yeah. Like that dude, Sheriff David Clark, I would certainly categorize him as a coon. But the thing is, I would never say nothing disrespectful about him out publicly, or especially to a non-black person. I would never, you know, say this dude is a coon and needs to die and all of this shit out in public. And I don't think any of us should. We're only feeding into the stereotype. We're only feeding into the divide and having more things to argue about when we feed into that narrative. If it's people that do that, I'm not saying you have to include them in your plans, include them in your circles or anything. I'm just saying you shouldn't speak about them in public. It kind of proves their point of what they're saying. It only feeds into their narrative. Because regardless, they're still black, they're still in the same situation. And the truth is, we all probably have Stockholm Syndrome, but these people have severe Stockholm Syndrome, where they try to identify as their kidnappers. They hear their own talking points and use them. But again, that's just another way of trying to find the identity that we have been stripped of. They are still our brothers, whether we like it or not. I'm not saying you gotta tell them to scheme, because they might go back and tell, you know. It's nothing new. I mean, slaves would plan a revolt. They would go tell the master. You know, slaves would talk about running away. They would go tell on them. It's nothing new. And again, I understand what the dangers of somebody like that is. They have always used them against us. They have used these type of people and called them black leaders and passed laws in favor of them. That is the reason why Ben Carson is in HUD right now. But in reality, it don't matter if we had zero coons. They would still find some kind of way to still do the same thing and still justify it some kind of way. And that's not an issue that we should be wasting our time on, because if we dismantle the system, then automatically that will dismantle that kind of mindset, that kind of behavior. I understand there will always be treasonous people, but we need to start handling that behind closed doors, and especially not in front of mixed company, because coons, or whatever you want to call them, are the least of our problems, because guess what? They were doing it before there were coons, all right? We need to start keeping our business in-house and start broadcasting it for the world to see. Because if we focusing on what we need to be focusing on and have the mindset that we need to have, there's no way that a coon can stop it. There's no way that anybody can stop it. There's no need to sit here and bash our own people and feed into the fucking narrative just to entertain white people, because they're the ones who are looking at it and laughing at it and enjoying it, and then they're still able to push their false statistics and their false narratives all because we feeding in on it. So I want to hear what you got to say about Kaepernick, about Ray Lewis, what he had to say about Kaepernick, and, you know, about the issue of cooning. Should we still be saying the word coon? I want to hear what you got to say about all this.
Mike, you went through a situation where, for lack of a better word, toxic, coming out of prison, a lot of controversy around you because of the dogfighting deal. Tony Dungy wrapped his arms around you and helped get you back into the NFL. That's what I want to see from Colin Kaepernick, a football person, him get involved with. And I think he needs to actually talk and put his name on what he feels about the NFL and wanting to play. I think he needs to speak for himself.
I think he really does. First thing we got to get Colin to do is cut his hair. You know, I mean, listen, I'm not up here to try to be politically correct, but, you know, even if he puts cornrows in it, I don't think he should represent himself, you know, in that way in terms of, you know, just the hairstyle. Just go clean cut. You know, why not? You know, you're already dealing with a lot of controversy surrounding this issue.
That's a fascinating thing to hear you say, Mike.
The thing that he needs to do is, you know, just try to be presentable. I mean, look, all the social media stuff that he's doing, look, we get it, we understand it. It's time for, you know, Collins to step up in a different way. And, you know, I think primarily the reason why he's not signed to a team right now is because of the last 2 seasons and not being as productive as everybody, you know.
Let me just ask you a question, because I kind of chuckled when you said he had cut his hair, because I just thought you didn't like the hairstyle, but you're actually saying that it represents something.
Yeah, I just think perception and image is everything. And listen, it's not the Colin Kaepernick that we've known, you know, since he entered the National Football League. And I'm just going off my personal experiences, but listen, I love the guy to death, you know, but I want him to also succeed on and off the field, and this has to be a start for him.
We got Michael Vick here, who had to struggle getting back into the NFL. You had an image problem.
Yeah.
And you were a guy that wore cornrows, wore the gold chains, played the whole hip-hop image.
Had an afro at times, even during the tough times. You know, it was something that people would whisper in my ear. You know, this is the way you're being perceived. But that wasn't me as a person. You know, I understand Colin, you know, he's a great kid.
Yeah, he is.
He is a great kid. And the reason he's not playing, it has nothing to do with, you know, the national anthem. I think it's more solely on this play. But, yeah, I mean, everything takes precedent, you know, in terms of image, perception. You know, you got to clean it up. You got to make sure you do it all right.
Saying he will give up basketball and his $2.6 million a year salary. Mahmoud got it again. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf will not apologize for his Islamic beliefs. The NBA star refuses to stand for the playing of the national anthem before any basketball game. He calls the American flag a symbol of oppression, of tyranny.
It's clear in the Quran where Islam is the only way. My thing is, I don't criticize those for standing, so don't criticize me for sitting.
Those comments made Tuesday forced the NBA to suspend the player, even though Abdul Rauf had not been standing for the anthem all year long. The league invoked Rule J, Paragraph 2. Players are to stand during the playing of the national anthem.
The soloist had a little trouble hitting a few of the notes of the Star-Spangled Banner, but at Friday night's Chicago Bulls-Denver Nuggets game, it was lost in the noise of the crowd. This was the fans' response to Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, the Nuggets player who stood and cupped his hands in front of his face in traditional Islamic prayer. Last night, he compromised, and the NBA was satisfied, but many fans were not.
I mean, it's my right as an American to do him as much as it's his right to complain about the flag. First, I want to thank Almighty God for his mercy for us to meet like this in such violent times, but at the same time, for us to be able to meet like this in a peaceful situation.
My grandpa and my uncles, they all taught me about the conscious athletes of that time. Jim Brown's, Muhammad Ali's, Lou Alcindor's, Kurt Flood's, guys that I look to as far as being able to balance consciousness and balance their sport.
What we're really talking about is refusing to separate athletic excellence with moral excellence.
people can't help but respect somebody who puts themselves out there in front of the whole world, cameras, the game's on the line. So when they then put themselves on the line for a cause, it just is arresting. The history of your country politically can't be told without telling the history of the country athletically. When you think about Hodge going to the White House wearing a dashiki.
When I go to a royal occasion, I should dress in my royalty garment. Bush was cool to me when I got to the White House. That's an awesome garment.
And handing Bush a letter about every problem in the country.
When you meet the president, you can't give him anything. So, in proper protocol, I gave it to his press secretary.
That takes a lot of integrity. Most people, when they get to the White House, they're not thinking about the whole world and how they can make a difference.
I didn't ever think that me going to the White House, asking President Bush to consider the issues of black people would cost me $40 to $50 million. I'm leading the league in three-point percentage. I'm a two-time world champion. I'm a three-point shooting champion 3 times in a row, and can't nobody use my services?
Whereas Brother Hodge is saying, you know what? I'm willing to give up a career, as it turns out, at least on the court. You go with the cause, which means you got to bear cause.
So my cause is my people. And I think it's not only noble, but it's worthy, and it's time to do it.
I think that the LeBron James generation looks back and they see Muhammad Ali is respected for what he did in the ring and beyond the ring. Michael Jordan is a god for what he did on the court, but nobody has a word to say about what he did off the court. I think this new generation wants both. They want to dominate on the court and in their athletic role, but they also want to be relevant, and that's a big change.
It is time that we take a deep look at our ability to be compassionate and empathetic to those suffering from the problems that are deep within our society.
If my son gets pulled over and you just listen to the police, I'm not that confident that things are going to go well and my son is going to return home. It's a scary ass situation.
So when LeBron comes on the court and symbolically makes a kind of gesture of solidarity with Black Lives Matter, he's just saying, look, I'm a brother from Ohio who recognizes that I'm trying to be a force for good. And a force for good means being able to make some connection with people who are fighting for justice.
I want to bring you new details now on the case of a former Massachusetts crime lab chemist who was convicted of falsifying evidence. Boston Herald is just reporting that Annie Dukin is now out of prison. Her attorney says that she was released on parole a couple of weeks ago. She was sentenced to 3 to 5 years in November of 2013 after pleading guilty to several charges of obstruction of justice, perjury, and tampering of evidence. She admitted to faking test results that helped to vacate the guilty pleas of numerous defendants.
Yes, my birthday is March 7th, but July 19th was the day I found out I was black. Like, my whole entire life, my mom kept telling me, you're white, you're white. I never believed her because I knew I was black, but July 19th, I did some history. I went on Ancestry.com, and I found I'm 25% black, and this whole time I knew it. I knew I was a black girl. So I just consider that to be my birthday because it's just a very exciting holiday for me. So I thought I'd celebrate. I didn't know how to celebrate, but to say it was my birthday. So that's just to clear up everything for y'all. Thank you for understanding that I am a black girl.